Every day, we use a multifold series of communications. These meaningful of utterances are produced through systematic succession of words, and the process of putting all words together in a sequence of pattern is called the syntax. So, by the way, my name is Janemia Pidimakaling, and we will going to talk about the syntax, the phrases, and the clauses. A phrase is a series of words that put in together and it adds flavors to the language. A phrase include a noun phrase, verb phrase, adverb phrase, prepositional phrase, and conjunctive phrase, and also interjectional phrase. So, a noun phrase is a systematic unit which consists of a single modifier and the noun or a series of modifiers. A group, a noun phrase can function in a sentence as the subject, object, or prepositional object. So there are patterns for noun phrase construction are. The first one is determiner plus noun, um, the is the determiner and merchant is the noun. Another, determiner plus single modifier plus noun. The determiner here is the and the modifier is the dedicated and the noun is the precedent. Determiner plus series modifier plus noun. The is the determiner and the skilled and influential is the series of modifier and the precedent is the noun. Another, modifier plus noun, consensus man. Consensus is the modifier and noun is the man. So, as I've said earlier, a noun phrase can be a subject. A subject is an element in the sentence that is usually a person, a thing, or an idea that does the action or that is talked about. There are examples here. The first one is the merchant ate his favorite food. So the noun phrase here is the pattern here is determiner plus the noun. So the subject here is the doer of the action. So the second example is same with the pattern in first example. It is determiner plus noun. The candidate in red shirt is running for president. So the subject here is being talked about. Another, a noun phrase can be a direct object. A direct object is a noun that directly receives the action. It answers the question what. So the example is, my mother cooks a delicious meal. And the noun phrase here is a delicious meal, which a is the determiner plus delicious is the modifier and meal is the noun. So another is the president wants a suit. A suit here, the pattern, this is the noun phrase. So the pattern here is determiner plus noun. So a noun phrase can be the object of the preposition. Object of the preposition is a noun phrase, a combination of a preposition and a noun, where a preposition directly governs the noun. The object of the preposition complements the noun in the verb phrase. Here are the given examples. The merchant sat on the chair. The object of the preposition here is on the chair. On the chair complements the noun, the verb sat. And this is the object of the preposition here is the noun phrase because on is the preposition and the is the determiner and the chair is the noun. Another, the book belongs to me. To me is the object of the preposition that complements the verb belongs, and another is readings Reading is interesting pastime for me. For me is also the object of the preposition, that complements the verb. A noun phrase can be a indirect object. Indirect object initially receives the action of the subject. This answers the question whom or to whom. The examples is the president gave his workers a reward. His workers is the indirect object here. It indirectly received the word gave here. Another is the merchant brought his son a car. His son is the noun phrase here, and it functions as the indirect object that indirectly received the verb brought. A noun phrase also includes other phrases that functions as a noun, and these are the appositives, gerunds, infinitives, and participles. So the first one is the appositive phrase. It is a noun that restates, defines, and renames a noun. So before that, we could identify the appositive phrase because it has a comma after the subject and before the verb. So this sentence, the insect, a large cockroach with hairy legs, which is the appositive phrase, is crawling across the kitchen table, is a noun phrase that functions as the appositive phrase. The second example is the dentist, my cousin, gave me a free cleaning. So the appositive phrase here is the my cousin, and it describes or defines the dentist. Another is infinitive phrase. It is a noun phrase that contains infinitive at the beginning of the phrase, which functions as a noun, and infinitive is a combination of two and a base form of the verb. The example, to read book is her passion. To read books here is a noun phrase that functions as the infinitive phrase because of the word to, and read is a base form of the verb, and books is the noun. Another, the president wants to meet the victims of the typhoon. Infinitive phrase here, or the noun phrase here, is to meet the victims. The word to and meet, which is the base form of the verb, and the victims is the noun. Another function is the gerund phrase. It is a noun phrase that starts with a gerund, which is made of verb plus ing. So the example is, reading Wattpad makes me happy. The noun phrase here is reading Wattpad. So it functions as the gerund phrase because of the word reading. And it is a verb that has ing, and it is also functions as the subject of the sentence. Gardening backyard adds the beautification of the house. Gardening backyard here is the noun phrase that function as the gerund phrase because of the word gardening, and it is the subject of the sentence. Another is participial phrase. It is a noun phrase that starts with the present or past participle, and participial phrases appear as verbs but function as a noun modifier, and a participial phrase could be placed before mentioning the subject or in front of the sentences, which is offset with a comma, and it also replaced immediately after the noun. So the example here is, students planning to study nursing must first meet the dean. So the participial phrase here is the planning to study nursing. The second example is, the car moved slowly on the road clogged with traffic. The participial phrase here is the road clogged with traffic. Verb phrase and tactic unit which starts with verb and all cluster of words that follow. A complete verb phrase functions as a predicate of the subject. So there are patterns in constructing verb phrase. The first is main verb plus modifier. The first sentence is I am frightened. Am is the main verb and plus the modifier frightened. Sits is the main verb and the modifier here is the alone. Another pattern is auxiliary verb plus main verb. Am is the auxiliary verb and the main verb here is eating. Another is he was appointed. Was is the auxiliary verb and appointed was the main verb. Another pattern is modal plus main verb. We can do that. Can is the modal plus the main verb do. Another, the girl might be thoughtful. The modal and the main verb is the might be. Another pattern is modal plus auxiliary plus main verb. First example is I might be leaving soon. Might is the modal and auxiliary is the be and main verb is leaving. Another, I will be waiting for you. Will is the modal, be is auxiliary, plus main verb is the waiting. Auxiliary, another pattern is auxiliary plus main verb plus modifier or the complement. It has represented ingenuity. Has is the auxiliary, represented is the main verb, and modifier or the complement is the ingenuity. Another example is I am amazed by this abstract painting. Am is the auxiliary and plus main verb is the amazed and the modifier is the abstract painting. So there are two types of verb phrases. These are the finite verb phrase and the non-finite verb phrase. Finite verb phrase is a verb phrase that contains a single verb and the head verb is finite, which could be in the present or past form. The examples is the boy walks along the street. He wanted to find a solution to his problem. I have a class in LA 123 this afternoon and we had a midterm exam last Monday. Our study group worked really late last night. The single verb here is the works, wanted, have, had, and worked. This functions is as the finite verb phrase because it has only one verb. It is different from non-finite verb phrase because non-finite verb phrase has two or more verbs that is present in the sentence. In this case, the head verb could be a participle or verb in the base or verb in base form. The examples is she had written a sad story. I have been wanting a Persian cat. I did write a confession letter for you, and we must plant trees to save our nature. Another is I am going to the wedding of my best friend. As you can see, in the non-finite verb phrases, the example here had two or more verbs. These are the had written, have been wanting, did write, and must plant trees, and also I'm going. These are all non-finite verb phrase.
Okay, so now let's move on to the adjective phrases. By the way, I am Siti Aina Kapal and I will be the one who will discuss these subtopics to you. So what is an adjective phrase? An adjective phrase is a phrase that contains an adjective. It is a phrase that acts as an adjective by describing a noun. So as we all know, the adjectives are modifiers of nouns and pronouns. So how would you pick out an adjective phrase in a sentence? Let's see for these examples. After shopping around 4 months, I finally found a reliable yet affordable used truck. So you need to identify first the noun. The nouns here are the speaker and the truck. And if you would examine the whole sentence, it's all about the truck. So you need to identify which modifies the truck. So we have this word here used. It is the adjective of the truck. But if you would examine the whole sentence, there's these words: reliable yet affordable used truck. So obviously, these underlined words, or phrase rather, is an example of an adjective phrase that describes the truck. So in an adjective phrase, the adjective can initiate in the sentence, appear in the middle, and conclude in the sentence. Like for examples, the highly suspicious man is convicted for the crime. The highly suspicious is the adjective phrase that initiates in the sentence and describes the noun, which is the man. The second one is your eyes are absolutely enticing to me. The underlined words are the adjective phrase that appeared in the middle and it describes your eyes. The dish you cook smells very sumptuous. These underlined words are the adjective phrases and it concluded in the sentence. So the adjective phrases functions in two basic ways. The first one is the attributive adjective. It precedes the noun they modify. For example, a highly paid actor gave his best performance. This underlined phrase is the attributive adjective phrase that precedes the noun, which is the actor. They tell the qualities or the attributes of the noun. For example, sweet, ripe, red strawberries are my favorite. This underlined phrase are the attributive adjective that tells the quality of the strawberry. Next is they form a noun clause that can be the subject or object of the sentence. For example, we have to read 7 long, difficult books by next Tuesday. The second way is the predicative adjective. It follows a linking verb. Like for this example, the midterm tests were unbelievably difficult. The midterm test is the noun, where is the linking verb, and unbelievably difficult is the predicative adjective. They describe the subject of the sentence. For example, the dish smells very tempting. These underlined words are the predicative adjective phrase that describe the subject, which is the dish. And lastly, it comes after a verb or an action word. For example, the people are angry with the high taxes. These underlined words are the predicative adjective phrase and it comes after the verb, which is the angry. And now we're down to adverb phrases. So what is an adverb phrase? An adverb phrase is a syntactic structure that is composed of adverbs and all the cluster of words around functioning as one unit in describing a verb, adjective, and adverb. So as we all know, an adverb gives more description of verbs, adjective, and adverbs too. Like for these examples, next year, Jane will visit here. You buy very extravagantly, truly excited. I gave him my answer. So these underlined phrases are the examples of adverb phrases. Now, just like the normal adverbs, adverb phrases can also tell how something is done and how much or how many of something you have. The first one is the adverb phrases of manner. This answers the question how something is done. For example, I danced quite surprisingly well, and I waited for you in total silence. I danced in what manner? Quite surprisingly well. I waited for you. In what manner? In total silence. Next is the adverb phrase of place. It answers the question, where did the action took place? For example, I met you under the shade, and I saw you through the looking glass. Where did I meet you? Under the shade. Where did I saw you? Through the looking glass. The adverb phrase of reason. This answers the question, why is something happen? Like for example, I did it for the sake of Allah, and I sold the jewelry to make the most of it. Why did you sold the jewelry? To make the most of it. Next is the adverb phrase of time. It answers the question, when. For example, I could wait any time. She will come a few minutes from now. This pill will take away the pain temporarily. She will come. When will she come? A few minutes from now. I could wait when, any time. And lastly is the adverb phrase of frequency. It answers the question, how often will the action took place? Like for example, I decided to read every other day, and I watch Korean drama twice a week. And now we're down to the adverbials. What is an adverbial? Adverbials are words or adverbs presented in a form of a phrase or a clause. They basically function to explain the meaning of the verb in the sentence. Adverbials are not as standalone parts of speech. They are not like the adverbs. They are entirely different, but it modifies a verb, an adjective, or an adverb as well. They are only designed to copy or behave like an adverb. A note to take heed of adverbials that an adverb can be an adverbial, but an adverbial cannot be entirely an adverb. So how would you understand this explanation? Let's see for these examples. We already ate dinner. We quickly ate dinner. We ate dinner outside. These underlined words are adverbs, and they are also adverbials. Now, how about these examples? I'll call Stephanie in 1 hour. I buttered the toast with a knife. Jamie plays near the shed. These underlined words are not adverbs, but they are adverbials. Like for this example number 1, I'll call Stephanie in 1 hour. This underlined word is an adverbial because it answers the question, when will I call Stephanie? I buttered the toast with a knife. These underlined words are prepositional phrase, and they are also adverbials that answers the question, how did I butter the toast? And Jamie plays near the shed. These underlined words are the examples of adverbials, and it answers the question, where did Jamie play? Another examples, I feel a lot better today than I did yesterday. These underlined words, a lot, are adverbials, and it describes the adjective, which is the better. And lastly is, at first, I hardly noticed him. These underlined words are adverbials and also a prepositional phrase that answers the question, when did I hardly notice him? So that's all for my part. You may now proceed to the next reporter, and thank you so much for watching.